Welcome to Edward Box Guitar Tuition. So today's classic album inspection is Iron Maiden's Peace of Mind. This was released May 16th, 1983, and it's 40 years old today. So I still vaguely remember when this album came out. I think my brother borrowed a copy, and I was still living at the sort of first house I can remember living in. And I remember the gatefold sleeve, so it was unusual for heavy metal bands to get a gatefold sleeve. I think Rush had one with Hemispheres, and obviously Rainbow had a couple of gatefold sleeves, but this is the first time I remember a sort of contemporary metal band getting a gatefold, apart from Saxon with Strong Arm of the Law. So obviously the gatefold sleeve's quite an expense, you're effectively doubling your packaging costs. But it was a nice thing for fans, and then you've got that great picture in the middle of the band sat around a big table with the brain in the middle. So how does this album differ from Number of the Beast? I think the production's a little different. I actually prefer the sound of Number of the Beast. I think Number of the Beast is a bit cleaner, a little warmer. I know this is Steve Harris's favourite Maiden album. I can see why in some ways, because in a lot of ways it's a step on for Number of the Beast, although there's people who prefer that. I think that's the beauty of the Maiden albums. The first 5 albums, you could someone could go, well, I like the debut best, and another person will go, I like Number of the Beast best, or someone will say, like Power Age best, and so on. And that nobody would be wrong. There's a kind of consistency to these albums, and this is no different. So the band got back off. They did a lot of tour supports on the US tour, and probably did some smaller headlining dates, and are really building up. So when they came to do this album, they went to Compass Point Studios in Nassau, and I think they rehearsed over in Jersey. Probably for tax reasons, they went to a hotel to rehearse Le Chateau something or other. Martin Birch was at the production desk, the mixing desk again. I think he's under the nickname of Martin Black Knight Birch on this record. So what does it open with? Where Eagles Dare, and this track introduces Nico McBrain as the new drummer. So it has a great drum intro, still one of the all-time great ones. Really great feel on this track. Basically, Clive Burr had been let go, or he agreed to go. Like Paul Di'Anno, I don't think he could cope with the sort of touring schedule. I think he drank quite a lot. I think he was being sick in his bucket by his drums and something like that. But a shame, there's always that debate. People prefer Clive Burr's feel to Nico's. I don't know. I think Nico's probably better for cowsheds and stadiums. So where the band was heading, same with Bruce, it was like a, 1-star signing and then another one. And a guy's got a lot of personality as well, appearing with Sooty and stuff like that. So he's his own kind of little cult, isn't he, Nico? So this track, great drum fill, it shows off Nico Braham's brilliant single bass drum technique, which also sounds double bass drum. I know a lot of drummers admire that. Great fill on this. Obviously I quite like the lyrics, because it's literally about the film Where Eagles Dare. If you watch the film Where Eagles Dare, and then wrote metal lyrics about it. And there's a great line about the cable car's the only way in, and it's really impossible to climb, which is great. But it's quite interesting, kind of delay solo on this. Dave Murray, quite a long delay on it. But like a lot of tracks, it's 6 minutes 10 this. But the reason for that is it has a lengthy sort of instrumental middle. I'm just checking my notes here. Yeah. I haven't got the sort of length, and this is something that starts to appear in Maiden songs. I think it's quite clever, actually. I think Maiden are starting to stretch out with longer middle sections, but that's quite savvy, because it means Bruce doesn't have to sing. So if they're doing one of these tracks live, Bruce can kind of dance around, do what he does, or just go off, get a drink of water and take a breather, and that will help to preserve his voice. And I think you could argue that's why his voice is still so strong today. If you've got to sing more, your voice is going to go quicker. So these types of songs were kind of like building in breaks for Bruce, I think. So this finishes with a top Bruce scream. It's a really great Maiden, sort of deep cut classic. They did play this live a lot, and it's beloved by fans. Next up is Revelations, another kind of classic album track. Again, this was brought back, I forget on what tour recently. This is 648, sort of biblical reference, literary reference in the lyrics. And that's what you're getting from this film, from this album, is film and literary references in the lyrics from Bruce and Harry. This is really good. Great bass fills on this. I'm just looking at my notes there. Steve Harris. Nice clean bits as well, the way the dynamics break down. And then the stops remind me of Rush 2112's da-na-na, da-na-na. Really tight. I'm wondering if the headmaster's cutting some space there on the old tape. But talking about Martin Birch there, going back to his old name, Martin Headmaster Birch, that's my favourite. But yeah, this is a really good track. Again, a really popular track. So I think this album starts really strong. It kind of very strong. Over a stronger opening than Number of the Beast. Because if you remember, Number of the Beast kind of opens with a filler cut. Really, although I quite like it. Invaders. Then you've got another cracking track, Flight of Icarus. A much better single. This, I think. People would mention Run to the Hills and The Trooper, but I think for me, this is like the great Maiden single. I'm guessing this is co-written by Adrian Smith. Don't quote me on that, but it feels Smithy-ish. And it's just got more, it's got a melodic shape to it that's kind of stretching out a bit more from the typical Maiden thing. And it's in a key of F sharp as well, which is a little more interesting than E in some ways, and that opens it out kind of with a different timbre to Bruce's voice. I think the thing you notice on this is how great Bruce's harmonies are becoming now. Although songs will be a bit pitchy on this, late on Power Slave will absolutely nail it. Not necessarily this track, but on the album sometimes he's got a thing we can go a bit flat. Not in a nasty way though, it's just a Bruce trait. But yeah, it's a great track, and it shows off good soloing from Dave Murray and Aidan Smith on this, the way they're combining. Smithy's getting more confident, his vibrato's really starting to settle in. Dave Murray's kind of got more structure at this point to his solo songs. He can sort of whittle a little aimlessly for me, but not on this. And then you got Dive Your Boots on, which finished the original side one, I think. I used to play this live a lot. Always used to know this track was taken from the Errol Flynn film, I guess. Quite interested in this. It's got those weird backing vocals. If you're gonna die. They're kind of unusual. They doesn't sound typically Maiden. I quite like this track, 6 out of 10. It's not as good as I remember it. It was a cool Smithy lead break, and yeah, so it's a good side one. You imagine you can understand fans would be very pleased with this. Obviously, side 2 opens with a song that needs no introduction. It's a great track. I don't need to hear it again because we hear it all the time, but it is really good. Of course, it's The Trooper. Again, good lead break, particularly from Adrian Smith on this. I think this is sort of where the Maiden Gallop comes to its full fore, more so than even Run to the Hills. Really good, really melodic track based on Charge of the Light Brigade. And really not just a staple of Maiden live shows always, but a kind of staple of heavy metal itself. This is one of the all-time metal anthems, I guess. Then you've got Still Life. So this is a track a lot of fans really like. I like it, maybe not as much, kind of different. I'm not sure, this might be a Smithy co-write. Pitchy, Nightmares. I felt this chorus a little pitchy on Bruce on this, but on the BVs. But it kind of ends abruptly, quite strange. But it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's got a just different feel to it, the chorus and the verse. The lyrics are quite interesting, staring into the sort of... the reflection in the water, quite like it. So the next track number 7, I mean, it's really cheesy, but I actually think it's quite a good little filler cut. It's Quest for Fire. So some of you may remember the film Quest for Fire. So that's from 1981, I think, and it's Jean-Jacques Arnaud. He directed a film called The Bear. He also did, I can't remember the film with Brad Pitt where he's like a mountain climber who's actually a Nazi youth. But 7 years in Tibet. But anyway, it's a Quest for Fire. Actually, I don't know what, it has some kind of weird language that they think sort of caveman might have spoke, something like that, and then it's subtitled and tries to go for a sort of authentic caveman thing. And this literally, it's about their quest for fire, but it's got a catchy chorus. Pretty ridiculous lyrics, but you can't deny it's catchy. And it's short, it's 3:42, and the album needs a cut like that. And the same track's the same. Next track is the same, only 3 minutes 27. I think this is a really cool track, Sun and Steel. So quite a cheesy lyric on the chorus, but I like it. But it's a very catchy chorus. Obviously, it's about samurai and Bruce's interest. Obviously, he's a fencer, so he's interested in that. It's got the gallop in it. I like this track. I think it's one of my favourite tracks on the album, I think, which people may not agree with. And the last track's quite an important track for the band, To Tame a Land. So this uses Frank Herbert's Dune as a literary reference. But I think this is where Maiden show their progressive leanings. In the past, you'd have little elements where you'd say, yeah, that's Rush, or a bit like Rush and stuff like that. And obviously, they've done long tracks like Phantom of the Opera, but this feels proggy. The intro has got one of those clean sort of intros. It's got melodic where you do a whoa, whoa, whoa. Now, every Maiden song seems to have a bass intro with some melodic guitar lines so the crowd can whoa, whoa along with it, like Fear of the Dark and Beyond. You've got a lot of songs in the new albums have that type of intro. But I think this is one of the first ones where you've got that kind of intro. And really the first half of the song's, vocal, and then really second half's all instrumental. Again, if they played it live, that's a great point for Bruce to go off, have some water, dab himself down with a towel and then get back on it, I guess. So there's a cool tempo change in this. The bass is great. It's a cool track. I don't like it as much as I suspect some other people do. Dream Theater covered it. But on the whole, I think this album, it's got 4 or 5 really cracking tracks for me, and then 4 good tracks. It's easily an 8 out of 10. I would perfectly understand people giving it more. I would perfectly understand people saying, like, this is a fave Maiden album, it's all-time classic. I wouldn't disagree with that. Just a few facts, like initial pressings of this listed To Tame a Land as June, so I don't know if they're really rare. There's a backward message on Still Life, don't mess with the things you don't understand, that's Nico. Sounds heavy. Bruce, I think Bruce is credited on Wikipedia as playing guitar in Revelations, and I know he used to play acoustic live on that, so I don't know how that's true that is. It was just one thing about Clive Burr left in December 82, and then Nico came in fairly sharpish. I'm not sure when this was recorded, but I'm guessing it was kind of January to March. Sold certified sales of 1.775 million. If you go on the certifications, it's platinum in America, double platinum Canada. I think it's gold or platinum in the UK, probably gold. But that doesn't account for sales in other territories where they're not certified. So I wouldn't be surprised if this album didn't sell 3 to 4 million copies. Well, now with streaming and YouTube and the numbers those generate. So probably, I think it's quite interesting. Probably not successful as a Number of the Beast, but this album's successful enough. It was more successful in America, but it was successful enough to make Maiden successful. It's that thing a band can't rely on every album selling the same as the last one. As long as it doesn't tail off massively, it secures like a solid fan base, and this album did. So Iron Maiden's Peace of Mind, 40 years old today. I hope you enjoyed that. If I missed anything, put it in the comments. We'll have a crack on. Cheers, thanks very much. Bye now.